Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan, and today I wanted to talk about steps that I am taking to heal and reparent my inner child. And this is coming from somebody who has an anxious attachment style. If you have done if you're watching this video, you probably are familiar with the attachment styles and all of the theories around how we attach when it comes to intimate relationships. And so I have always known that I had an anxious attachment style ever since I learned about this theory. I have been somebody who latches on to people very quickly or easily or very hard. I don't let go of people. I'm constantly seeking for people to see my value or to see me or whatever. I have an anxious attachment style to me. And from my understandings and my personal opinion, as of right now, I believe that the majority of our attachment styles are due to our childhood or maybe our programming as like a society or a culture or a race. Like all of our attachment styles, there's a reason why we have them. They don't just come out of nowhere. And so for me, being able to see my anxious attachment style and how it's affected me, and also understanding that those wounds that I need to try to work on really correlates directly with inner child work and reparenting ourselves. And if you're not familiar with reparenting, this is not to say that you had a bad childhood or that you had bad parents, but ultimately, all of us are different, unique individuals. We all have different spirits, all have different souls, and we all need certain things that maybe our siblings didn't need, or maybe our parents didn't need that growing up, so they didn't give it to you when they were raising you. Like all of us are so different. So when it comes to reparenting yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you had a bad parent or a bad childhood. It could just simply mean that you didn't receive the type of you didn't receive what you need in order to grow up to have like a secure understanding of self or secure understanding of relationships. And so when you're working on inner child work or reparenting, it's not a bad thing. It's not to say that you are shaming your family. So I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing right now to heal my anxious attachment style through reparenting and inner child work, and the steps that I'm taking right now that are really helping me move through this and get through this, because yeah, I recognize things that I want to change about myself, and I'm taking the directions to do that. A lot of people have a lot of things maybe that they don't love about themselves, or they see the same struggles or the same cycles happening in their lives over and over. And a lot of people want to point the finger at everybody else, or they don't want to really take a deep look into it. And for me personally, and for probably you if you're watching this video, those of us that want to take a look at why we're repeating cycles, and it could just be cycles in our life, or it could be generational cycles, that we see throughout our family. Like if you're here watching this video, you're probably somebody who wants to take a deep dive into working on different pieces of yourself. So the first thing that the first step that I did is I identified okay, what is my attachment style? Mine is anxious attachment style. So as you probably are aware, it's people that have a lot of anxiety around their relationships, their intimate relationships. And so I started looking at what that really looks like and how that shows up in my life. And I started to write a list. And so I started to write a list about when I feel the most secure within myself and when I feel the most secure within relationships. And it is the three words that I came up was when I feel safe, when I feel seen, and when I feel at peace. And I started to realize that these three words, safety, feeling seen, and being at peace, were not something that I could say that I felt growing up all of the time. And these three words that I'm speaking of, we're thinking of this very broadly. When it comes to safety, that could be safety physically, that could be safety like financially, that could be safety as far as feeling safe and like not walking on eggshells. Like safety could be a lot of different things. Feeling seen could be a lot of different things as well. It could be feeling like somebody is seeing you for who you are, feeling like somebody is interested in wanting to know you truly at the core. Feeling seen could be being accepted for the unique things about you. Feeling seen could be feeling like somebody recognizes your power or your value. I mean, feeling seen, ultimately, lots of different things as well. And being at peace. Again, lots of different things that this could mean. These are the 3 words that I came up when I was thinking about my anxious attachment style and how I feel most secure and safe. So, feeling at peace. Again, peace could be so relative. It could mean a lot of different things for a lot of people. Feeling at peace could be just living in a quiet, calm, soothing household. Feeling at peace could mean that you are not having people come in and out of your life all the time. Being at peace could mean having parents that talk to you really calmly and like in a cool, collected manner. Being at peace, again, could mean a lot of different things. But for me, safety, being at peace, and feeling seen were, I feel, when I was writing down like my anxious attachment and how that shows up in my life. These are the 3 words that I came up with that I'm like, okay, these are very common. So I started to write a list of all of the times that I feel safe and that I feel at peace and that I feel seen. And I wrote a really long list about this. And I, number 1, started to like realize that it was actually a little bit more difficult to think of the times that I feel at peace, feel seen, and feel safe, which actually isn't surprising, because if you're somebody who struggles with feeling safe, seen, and having peace, of course it might be a challenge for you to write down when you feel the most of those things, because if you're dealing with these things, or if these things are things that show up in like your inner child, like these things are probably going to be hard to write down. But I first started with the list of when I feel like that the most, when I feel those 3 things. And I started to correlate different things that showed up under each word. I wrote 3 different columns: safety, peace, and seen. And I started to write things that showed up under each word. And there started to be like links about like, oh, well, my need of feeling safe correlates with also my need of feeling at peace. And my need of feeling peace also correlates with my need to be seen. And I started to realize like a common thread of different times when I felt those words, or just a common thread of like when the scenarios showed up under each word. Then on the flip side, I was like, let me write a list of times when I don't feel safe, seen, and at peace. And I started to write a list of words underneath that list of when I don't feel like that. And I quickly was able to write a list of when I don't feel those things, and it was very easy to see those things show up. And again, a lot of them started correlating with different things with one another on all of the lists. So ultimately, I identified like within my anxious attachment style, like where the root problem was coming from with that style, how it was showing up for me. And then I also started to identify like which piece of my inner child or which piece of me needed reparenting and what words actually describe that. And once I wrote out those lists of when I did feel those things or when I didn't feel those things, it was actually very clear and easy for me to write a statement in my journal under the list of when I do feel safe, peace, and at seen. I could write a statement saying, I'm going to commit to only doing these things that make me feel safe, peace, and seen. I'm going to put myself in environments, put myself around people, put myself in situations where I feel safe, at peace, and seen. And then when it came to the list of when I don't feel safe, at peace, and seen, I can easily write a statement and say, I am not going to put myself in situations around people or in circumstances that are listed above. And that made everything super transparent, super black and white, and super easy of, okay, I understand what I'm struggling, what is causing my anxious attachment style. And I know that it's these three words. And now I'm able to clearly lay out when I feel these three words and when I don't feel these three words of feeling safe, peace, and seen. And I'm able to clearly have some sort of list for me to hold myself accountable to and say, okay, if I'm coming into a situation and I'm starting to feel like not sure of the situation, the three questions or the three words that I need to ask myself is, do I feel safe, peace, and seen? And this was a very easy way for me to really just kind of understand how I need to start reparenting myself and how I need to work on my inner child wounds. This is not to say that I'm not going to ever get in situations where I don't feel safe, peace, and seen. It's not to say I'm not ever going to experience that. But I do believe that if we can intentionally focus on healing pieces of ourselves, like very intentionally, at least for an extended period of time, just be intentional about like what types of situations we're putting ourselves in, if they're feeding into our wounds or if they're working on mending and healing our wounds. If we can be intentional about what we're doing for, say, a month, 90 days, that's going to help us start feeling in our body those things that we are so desperately wanting to achieve. Mine, for instance, feeling safe, at peace, and seen. So again, I'm not going to not ever find myself in situations where I don't find those words, but if I can start getting into my body and feeling like what it feels like to feel those words, then the way that it's going to correlate into my anxious attachment style is that I'm going to curate those experiences for myself. And instead of having an anxious attachment style and seeking my safety or my peace or feeling seen or my self-value through a partner or through a close, intimate friendship or through a parent, like instead of me seeking outside of myself to get those needs met of feeling safe, peace, and seen, I can already have been working on what it feels like in my body to curate that for myself. And in situations when I find myself not feeling peace, not feeling seen, and not feeling safe, then at least I will be able to very loudly know, okay, I know what it feels like to feel those words, and now I know I'm not feeling those words. So what do I need to do? What does my inner child need me to do to nurture my nervous system or to nurture these wounds that maybe are coming up? So these are things that I'm doing to really work on this anxious attachment style that I have adopted in my life. These are the things that I'm doing. This is like the assignment that I did for myself to actually write out, okay, how is my anxious attachment style showing up? What situations are causing or not causing those wounds to kind of bubble up to the surface, and holding myself accountable, writing out like I'm going to hold myself accountable to not put myself in certain situations that bring up these wounds, or to put myself in situations where I feel the things that I want to feel, which is safe, peace, and seen. These are the things that I'm doing right now to work on reparenting myself. And as I have gotten down my journey, I have realized how much that this anxious attachment style has been affecting all of my relationships. I have been seeking out people to help me fill these needs. And ultimately, these are things that I should have learned as a child, so that when I became into an adult and I started getting into different types of relationships, that I was able to fulfill those needs within myself and I wasn't seeking them out from friends or family or from partners. And so I wanted to share this video with you guys today, as this is like true raw, like this is the raw inner child reparenting work I'm doing right now for myself. Is I have told myself very black and white, I have laid it out on paper what I need to be doing to be mending these wounds within myself and making sure that I am not asking anybody to help me feel safe, help me feel seen, or help me feel at peace. I am making sure that I'm giving that to myself, and I'm not expecting anyone, no matter if it's a parent, no matter if it's a partner, no matter if it's a friend. I am making sure I'm holding myself accountable, that I'm not asking anybody to help me mend those wounds, because those are wounds that I need to mend within myself. So please, if you resonate with this video, if you are also an anxious attachment person like me, comment below. I want to know what you guys are doing to work on your inner child wounds or work on reparenting yourself. Comment below, like this video, and subscribe to this channel. If you've been following for a while, know that I'm like super raw about my own personal journey. I am a true believer that all of our journeys, all of our healing that we do is actually to heal the collective, to heal our communities. And what better way to help do my part by impacting the community through my own journey is by sharing it with you guys on YouTube. So please subscribe to my channel if you guys want to see more of my own work and my own reflections, and I will see y'all in the next video.